Alright, here we are back working on our T100R motor. Been working on this most of the day between phone calls. We got some parts in today. We got our new crankcase cover bolts. We installed our new crankcase cover seal. We cleaned our crankcase cover and our mating surface. We also cleaned the gasket surface for the crankcase cover on the motor there. On our new crankcase cover bolts, when we got these in, 4 of them, the heads of the bolts, the diameter of the head of the bolt, actually wouldn't fit into the counter bore in the cover. So what we ended up doing was machining the head of the bolt down so that it would fit in the counter bore in the cover. And then we also checked our bolt lengths by threading each one in. So we thread those in until they stop. We then will measure our free length here. We'll then put it back into the Gearcase cover. We'll measure the depth it seats into to make sure our bolts are the right length. Now the reason we do that is to make sure that the bolt tightens down on the cover before it bottoms out in the blind hole. And with all these bolts, the longer ones, we did have to shorten them up by about 4 millimeters. Even though they were the right part number, they were actually too long, and they would have bottomed out in the hole, in the threaded hole, before they tightened up properly. So we machined the heads, we shortened the length. The short ones were okay. The heads were the right diameter, they were the correct length. But we did chamfer the ends of those because they came with a very coarse end. We also wire wheeled the threads to take any manufacturing perfections off of those. They were pretty rough to smooth those up. We then cleaned all the holes, our threaded holes that mount the crankcase cover. We used some WD-40, and you can use compressed air or Q-tips. We go in there with Q-tips, make sure there's no grit from cleaning this, or there's no bad threads. We thread each bolt in, make sure it threads in properly, so that when we go to put the cover on, we know that all our threads are good, each bolt is the correct length, so when we go to put the cover on and tighten everything up, we know everything's good. There's no surprises when we put the cover on and a bolt won't go in. So we got all that done, installed our new seal, and we're still waiting for our electronic ignition to come in, but we will be ready to put this cover on. We also double-checked our cam timing just to make sure that that was good. There was no reason to believe it wasn't, but we checked all our alignment cam timing marks to make sure that was good. We did some cleaning on the motor. Came around to the back here in our drive sprocket area. I believe Triumph calls this the, I'm not sure what they call it, the transmission sprocket. There's a little plate under here which you can't see really in this photo, but it's a transmission protection plate, and it's a little J-shaped plate, and it basically runs from here and it runs down around the front of the engine casting. And what that little steel plate is for is if the chain should break or pick up a rock or something, throw it back in here. It protects the aluminum case from damage. When we were cleaning back here, we found out that that was loose, and it was just dangling in there. And someone has replaced the original bolt, probably from driving with the chain too loose. It wore it out, and they put a flathead, looks like a 1/4-20, and it had a slot in it for a slotted screwdriver. Well, I was able to actually get my screwdriver in there to hold the bottom of it, but when I went to unscrew this nut, it's actually stripped. They've stripped it out. So what I'm going to have to do here, I'm probably going to take my high-speed little mini grinder. I'm going to cover everything up so I don't get any chips or grinding grit in anything. Then I'm going to grind this off. Then I'll be able to get that out. I'll grind this nut off, be able to get that out. And then I'll put another bolt in there, tighten that up with a washer. May have to machine the head of the bolt down for clearance from the chain, although it does look like I have plenty. So we may have to do that. And that's where we're at right now. Let's see, what else did we do? We also checked our primary chain slack. Do that through this little primary chain case fill cover. You reach in there and you can feel the top of the primary chain. It's supposed to be about a 1/2 inch of slack, and I can move that up and down probably a good 1.25 to 1.5 inches. So that may have never been adjusted. There is some lube in there though, so that's a good thing. It's not dry. There's no filings or any grit on my finger, so luckily we had some lube in there. So we're gonna fix this chain case protector, and we're gonna adjust our primary chain next. And that's the update for now.